it's the greatest job in entertainment as far as I'm concerned that you could possibly have.
And if you do it the right way, you could do it forever. You could do it as long as you. And
if you're smart with your money, you invest in Detroit, like I keep trying to tell you guys. No, seriously, like you can have a great life. And I just look at acting, all of that stuff. I look at it as gravy. I always say I act when they let me. Because, you got to audition.
You were great on Breaking Bad, by the way.
Dude, anybody would have been great on that show. The writing was so amazing. And the way they shot it, the music, and then those actors that were the regulars that you're going to get to go in with. Like, dude, I was such, like, you want to talk about, like, that was my getting to play a stormtrooper was getting to do Breaking Bad, where I was one of the people that, like, I watched the pilot the night it aired. There was something about the billboard when I saw it, when he was, that iconic photo now. He had the green shirt with one shirt tail tucked into his tighty whities in front of the Winnebago. And I wasn't familiar with the term Breaking Bad. And I just finished watching The Wire, binge watched that, and I needed a new show. And I was like, let's give that a chance. And we just watched it, and immediately I was just like, let's watch it the next week. But, by 2-3 episodes, I was calling my agent. I think that's how I got in, because I was part of the first wave of people going, dude, if you're watching the show, you got to get me in. And I was William Morris Endeavor at the time, and Philip Grenz, a great guy, got me to read some sides. We're like, all right, well, let's see if he can act. And I think I read some of Badger's stuff that they had already shot. And this was by the second season. I think I read something. They put me on tape. They're like, all right, you can act. We'll see if something comes along, yada, yada, yada. And then by the fourth season, right as it was starting to blow up because it got on Netflix. A lot of people don't know, from what I've heard, after the third season, AMC was on the fence going it's costing a lot of money. It's not getting the ratings. I know it's a critical darling. And then when they got it on Netflix and everyone could binge watch it, it went through the roof.
Exploded.
Yeah, it saved it. So I got on right before I think that was happening. And, it was unreal. Dude, every time I went there, I always did nerdy shit. I remember I had a scene, a real quick scene with Lavelle Crawford and Bob Odenkirk in Saul's office.
I remember.
And I remember just going oh, my God, I'm going to get to sit in this office and the safe's over there and the Constitution. And it was also cool, the top of the scene, because the top of the scene was just was literally 2 or 3 lines.
I told her you were my A-team.
It's an actor guy. Ain't no accounting for no actor guy.
Checks in the mail, at least.
Oh, hello, Mrs. White. The good news is the IRS has been paid off. The bad news is... Jesus! Well, here goes nothing.
And then Mr. White comes in, which is also awesome. Oh, my God, I'm going to stand next to Mr. White. But what was cool was in that little moment, those were all 3 stand-up comics holding down the best drama on TV at the time.
Yeah, Vince loves...
For granted, 8 seconds, but it was still cool as hell.
No, but I think it's so great to put good comedy people in drama. I just think there's something about people who have a comedy gene. It just adds a layer of depth and complexity to a character, and
that guy is beyond a genius. I owe my whole acting career to that guy, because until then I was just the goofy redheaded buddy, you know what I mean?
Well, he won't. What's funny about Vince is he won't really take credit for anything. And you go, hey, that was really cool in that one shot where you open the microwave door and you could see the reflection. It was like, yeah, that was a total accident. We never meant to do that, but
That's a good Vince. Yeah,
it was. But
here's something you'll like this with your science background. They actually used to. The amount of stuff that they worked out on that show, they told me how people are always going to tweet and actually that wouldn't have happened that way, but blah blah blah.
They made it ironclad.
Yeah, they did. Even when we laid on the money, they figured out how much money Mr. White would have had, the basic denominations, and how big that would have been.
When you guys lay on the vault.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, when the train robbery, they figured out how long it would take. The whole thing of whatever those the liquid that they needed, and then they refilled it back up with water, I believe. How much, I don't know how much water you would need. Because I would be it's 100 gallons, so 100 each, right?
The whole thing relies on us replacing the weight of methylamine we steal with the same weight in water.
Right on, so they'll never know we hit them. Cool.
Aqueous methylamine is water-based.
yet it weighs slightly less than water. So, we will be removing 1,000 gallons of methylamine from the tanker car, but replacing it with about 9/10 of that volume in water, which comes to 900.24 gallons.
Well, no, these things with the heat against that surface, what that would expand to, and then with the water coming in, and they figured it all out. So if anybody tried to mess with them, they'd be like, no, actually you could, and here's why.
That was right. Oh
And
my
just shut 'em
God,
down.
that was right when that's when Jesse Plemons' character really because the kid shows up on the bike, and oh my God.
You watching him on Fargo?
No, I haven't. I'm not caught up on Fargo. He's amazing though.
He really is. He really is, and is like he's going to be one of the greats of all time. Like that, he's like that level of a guy. But okay, I almost forgot. Getting back to the nerdy stuff that I did on Breaking Bad. So after we did that scene, you know, I got to stand there and watch Mr. White in Better Call Saul. You know, doing a scene. And then also, I got to watch, you know, Bob Odenkirk and Bryan Cranston, the actors, work the scene out. Dude, it was just like masterclass. And I was just sitting there, like, trying not to be in the way, jaw on the ground, watching them working it out, talking to the director. It was. I'm still getting excited right now just thinking about it. And then I actually went over, like, a couple sets over from that was the super lab that they had underneath the dry cleaner.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to one of the women who was over there. Would it be cool if I just went in and just kind of look? They were like, yeah, we're shooting that next if you want to hang and watch. So I forget what episode and I forget what scene, but on one of those, you know, Mr. White and Jesse's character have an argument or something like that. And and it's one of those times where Mr. White was like putting Jesse in his place, and then he walked out. I was right on the other side of the camera.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I remember ruining that scene for my wife because I kept going, I'm standing right there. I'm standing right there. I'm right there. And she's going, will you shut up? I get it. You were there. I know. I understand. I drove you to the airport. I know you worked on the show. Stop ruining it for me. So I had to be like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know.
I gotta do it, man.
Dude. What are you doing? Huel. Hey, quit screwing around. We are here to do a job, not channel Scrooge McDuck. You hearing me?
I hear you.
Dude. Screw it.